Man, to be honest, it was the losses. I lost for about 3 years, the beginning of my career when I started competing. And I kept going. And, you know, when you put everything into something, like when you lose, it was devastating, right? I'd have to, sleeping in airports. I didn't have a lot of money, but I kept showing up and kept, trying and traveling in U.S. and then also even in Brazil. And so after about 2.5 years, I think it was like 13 tournaments, I finally won one. And when I finally won one, I ended up medaling at the blue belt, and I was, Terere was still like, he was Terere and like this guy, Gilberto Pesla, I remember watching the year before. And so, man, I wouldn't have known I was like one of the top guys, and I stayed there all the way till the black belt, right? So just that piece of not giving up when I was like, man, like, should I keep going, right? And I wouldn't have known that I was the top, of the division if I would have stopped. So anyway, just that, I'm very proud of that moment because it's really served me well in life, and business, and just everything, and family, everything. To just not give up, to follow through, keep showing up no matter what, even when you're down and you don't feel good, and just showing up no matter what. And it's really helped me in my life. It's given me a lot of confidence in everything that I've done.
Welcome back to the BJJ Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ford. My guest today is a 6th-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's also a world no-gi champion. He's the first American to become a black belt under the Gracie Barra banner. He's a world's bronze medalist and a brown belt, Pan Am silver and bronze medalist. He was also a brown belt and purple belt Brazilian national bronze medalist. He's one of the very first Americans to move to Brazil and earn his black belt there. He's also a former professional MMA fighter and a veteran of the UFC, and he was also a King of the Cage lightweight champion. He now owns his own academy, Legacy Jiu-Jitsu, which has 4 locations in Southern California. He also hosts his own successful podcast, The Alberto Crane Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be joined today for the second time on the show by Alberto Crane. How are you today, Alberto?
Doing great. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, it's great to have you back. Alberto, I just mentioned this is your second time, but it's been a long time since you've been on the show, man. You were episode 238 back when it was called the Grappling Central Podcast. And now we're on episode 673. So I appreciate you. Sorry we waited so long to have you on for a second time, but it is an honor to always an honor to have you back and talk with you. So thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, glad to be here.
So Alberto, because it's been so long, I figure I'm just going to ask you the same introduction question I ask all guests, which is basically tell us about where you're from originally and what life was like before you found jiu-jitsu.
Originally from New Mexico, but when I was a kid, I grew up in Germany. So lived there about 7 years. Went to high school in New York City. And then after high school, I went to Brazil. I got into jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, before that I was a kid, and, when I turned 18, that's pretty much the life I've known since then. So it's, before I was still in high school. Right. So it's my pretty much my entire adult life of doing this thing.
That's great. Did you do other martial arts before jiu-jitsu? Were you on the wrestling team? Anything like that?
I wrestled when I was a little kid, when I was maybe in 3rd grade, but that's about it. And then I messed around with like some kickboxing when I was in high school. I had some friends that did that, but it wasn't until I got into jiu-jitsu that I went like all in, basically, no pun intended on my book, all in.
Tell me about how you started jiu-jitsu. What was the introduction? Where did you first see it? What was do you remember your first class?
Right.
So
I was working at this restaurant right after high school, and Amal Easton, who's the Hands of Gracie black belt, he has a bunch of locations in Colorado. He's kind of like a big brother to me. So we had a few people that were doing jiu-jitsu from that restaurant, and they convinced me to do a class after about 6 months. And so I did my first class. My friend, who was much smaller than me, armbarred me like 10 times. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And it was before I saw anything UFC or anything like that on TV. So I started training, and I just remember how it made me feel. It made me feel like amazing, right? Like maybe it gave me peace of mind. I loved it. I loved the techniques. I loved the training. And it was something I just rearranged my whole schedule around so I could do it, right. And that at the beginning, it was only once a week, and then it was twice a week.
Now, as
Yeah.
we mentioned, that you were one of the early Americans that made their way to Brazil to train and learn. You ended up earning your black belt in Brazil. How did that all come together, and what do you remember most about those early days of training and living in Brazil?
Yeah, so I'm all Eastern, right? He was like a big brother to me. He went down to Brazil first. He's like 6, 7 years older than me, and I was 18. And he came back from Brazil and we started training in his garage. And he showed me all these pictures and teach me all these techniques. And I was like, wow, I wanna go there too. And he was living in Baja and Rio de Janeiro, and I made my way down. I saved up some money and went down there, and went to bought Gracie Baja there. Saw all these like amazing black belts. There's the who's who and black belts at that time, right? In the '90s was the golden era, right, of kind of jiu-jitsu in Brazil, right, with all these guys, these legends. Got the juice shops, the BB Sucos, the guys playing on the beach, going on the beach, Pepe's Beach, and just all these like mind blowing experiences, right? It was like the beginning of crazy adventure of this jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You're talking about a time of Gracie Baja when a lot of the people that modern practitioners would recognize as very separated teams at one point were all together under kind of one roof. There was a lot of people there that went on to create their own affiliations and build their own teams, and just expanded from there. But yeah, during the '90s in Baja de Tijuca, that was a very special place to be, because it's kind of where everyone, a lot of the faces that we know today started. In fact, that's how you met Draculino, who eventually would go on to give you your black belt. Tell me about that. Tell me, how did you initially click with Draculino? And
so I went to Rio, went to train at Gracie Baja, and I think he came to visit one time, and I talked to him. And then one of his students, Kazeka Muniz at the time, came and moved to Rio, and he lived on the same island that I lived in. I lived on this one of the islands in the lagoon that's inside of Baja de Tijuca. And so we became friends, and then he took me to Belo Horizonte when Draculino was just starting his school. And I met Draculino. All his students were just whites and a couple of blue belts. And I was like, and I really enjoyed how he taught, how he was. And I really loved the community, the people that were in the class. I just loved the miniature ice, like the Mineiros, right? They're very like hospitable, and they made me feel part of their team. Like I felt like a home, right? And Rio was like the who's who. I was just another gringo going to train and learn the techniques, right? But I felt like part of the team, like really part of the team, part of the family,
That's cool. Another thing about Minas is they might have some of the best food in Brazil. They may hold the title, man. That's Mineiro food is really something else. It's like a country kind of like farm food. It's a big farming states. It's just very country kind of soul food. It's really, really good. Yeah.
Queijo Minas, right? The Minas cheese, right?
The cheese, exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
So tell me about what did it feel like being an American early in those days? Like nowadays, I think it's very common to see Americans and people from Europe and other places around the world coming to Brazil to train and take vacations and stuff. But in the '90s, it seemed like that was a little more rare. Like it was a little more of a special thing. What do you remember about those days early on training in Brazil as a foreigner?
Yeah, I think from a lot of people, they say how like if you're a foreigner, like they would treat you bad, but I always got treated really well, and I felt definitely like I got treated well in Rio de Janeiro. I felt like I was definitely a foreigner, like I was going there to learn and get techniques, from the guys, but I definitely felt like part of the team. Like I was never treated bad. But then going to Belo Horizonte and just connecting with the guys there, like I really felt part of the team. I was, and I ended up being one of their Draculino's first black belts in Belo Horizonte, or part of his first group of black belts. And I'm very proud, ended up being like one of the top teams in the world, right? For just one gym compared to like, of course, Allianz and, Gracie Baja and, all this, they have a lot of like affiliates, a lot of schools, and they join up a team to, compete at the Worlds and all these different things. But Draculino just in one school had like all these world champions. So ended up being a really great choice.
Something interesting about Draculino and all his students, he has a lot of students that have a very diverse game. He's not someone that seems to have produced a bunch of mini-me's that have his exact game. Would you say that your game reflects closer to Draculino's, or is it something that's more uniquely your own?
The thing with Draculino is even though maybe he didn't do that wasn't his game, he taught everything, right? And then I think that's the beginning of when I started to do like cross guard and omoplata and really specialized in that. And so I think I've picked up some things from him, but like I definitely developed my own style. I started to do like deep half, and so like nobody ever taught me deep half. It was just something I picked up, but I think it was just because he was so diverse in all of the way he taught. He taught like everything, even though he didn't do it. But I was, did the cross guard. He remember him showing it, teaching, and then I really developed it. Then I started like Leo Vieira, and I started to who else was it that I saw? Leo Vieira was the first guy that I saw. It was like at a Brasileiro against this guy named Paulo Guilobel, right? And he was in close guard, and he had this cross guard position, and he did it differently. Holeta also did cross guard, but he did it like a different style because he was so long and lanky. So it really kind of clicked for me seeing Leo Vieira, but I picked it up because Draculino taught it in a class. So awesome. Anyway, I'd like to go on a tangent on that, but yeah, I think definitely have some things from Draculino, but I definitely have developed my own style as well.
That's great, man. As I said in your intro, you've had a ton of experience competing. You've competed both in the U.S. and in Brazil. Tell me about what do you think has been some of the biggest changes you've seen in the competition days of your competition days compared to the tournaments and things that you see your students doing in modern times? What do you think has been the biggest change in the sport that you've seen over those years?
The biggest change, right? The beginning, right? Like, the beginning of like the worlds and stuff, like the weigh-ins were at Carlos Gracie Jr.'s garage, Master Carlos Gracie Jr.'s garage. And so you would go there, you'd weigh in his garage, and then you would look at the bracket that was posted on his wall of his house. And so it's come from that. Then we ended up having the weigh-ins, of course, it was the day before weigh-ins, right, as well. So that's one of the changes. And it's just gotten better and better. And even the tournaments, like the jiu-jitsu tournaments, I mean, you show up in the morning, you didn't know when you were going to go. You'd be waiting around all day long. Now you pretty much know what time you're going to go. Everything's like just super polished, right? And I think because of my daughter wrestles and stuff too, so it's a little more not as organized. Not so organized, but it's so polished, right? You know exactly what time. You can tell your friends, you can tell family to go at that time, and it's nice for the lifestyle, right? Because you're not waiting around all day long. But I do like. I think it makes you a little bit tougher, right? It makes you like more resilient to have like these like tougher experiences of waiting around all day because your anxiety, you have a day before weigh-ins, right? That's at least one thing you have to think about, but then you just wait around all day long. I remember there was in Florida, they started to move the Pan Ams to Florida, and the first one was in Miami. And I don't know what happened. I think it was in 1999. They had usually back in the day it was like 2 days, right? And then now how many days? Pan Ams is like 5, or I don't even know how many days it is now. But something happened where they ended up doing it in one day. And I think something they lost. I don't know what happened, but they had to do it in one day. So we ended up competing like 3. I think it ended at like 5 in the morning.
Oh my
So we
God.
got there in the morning. I remember Jorge Gracie was competing in the morning, and then we waited around all day long. And we didn't know when we were going to go. And then 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I think it was the breakout year for Fernando Margarita, So it was, maybe it was like all those partying days paid off, like of staying up all night,
Got you. It was preparing you. It was preparing you for late night competitions. Right. You just didn't know it. Yeah.
Of course, his technique and his athleticism, right, was a big part of that. But it was a different time. So I think it's just more polished, more say civilized, but more organized now. So that's really good for sure for more people to practice, right?
Sure. Yeah. And we hear people complain. There's a lot of complaints that people have about really any rule set or any tournament that exists in jiu-jitsu. People will have a complaint about it. I think there's sometimes IBJJF catches flack from certain from certain parts of the community. But one thing you can't take away from them, and they have absolutely nailed down the scheduling and the organization. I mean, it's like a clock. It's unbelievable. So, and I remember too, even like when I started training in 2006 or like late 2005. And even back then, it's like, man, it's exactly what you said. You'd say, okay, tournament starts at, 9 a.m., show up and it might not be till like 7 p.m. and you're just sitting around and it's just people running around with brackets and arguing and like, it's just complete pandemonium. So yeah, you really do have to give credit to the incredible organization that the IBJJF brings to the table. What would you say was your most proud competition moment? Did you have a particular event or championship or just experience that means the most to you?
Man, to be honest, it was the losses. I lost for about 3 years, the beginning of my career when I started competing. And I kept going. And, when you put everything into something, like when you lose, it was devastating, right? I'd have to, sleeping in airports. I didn't have a lot of money, but I kept showing up and kept, trying and traveling in US and then also even in Brazil. And so after about 2.5 years, I think it was like 13 tournaments, I finally won one. And when I finally won one, I ended up medaling at the blue belt, and I was, Terere was still like, he was Terere and like this guy, Gilberto Pesla, I remember watching the year before. And so, man, I wouldn't have known I was like one of the top guys, and I stayed there all the way till the black belt. Right. So just that piece of not giving up when I was like, man, like, should I keep going? Right. And I wouldn't have known that I was the top, of the division if I would have stopped. So anyway, just that I'm very proud of that moment because it's really served me well in life, and business and just everything, and family, everything, to just not give up, to follow through, keep showing up no matter what, even when you're down and you don't feel good, and just showing up no matter what. And it's really helped me in my life, and it's given me a lot of confidence in everything that I've done.
That's great. Well, that kind of leads us to something else, which has been probably the biggest struggle, the biggest battle you faced in your life. And I'd love to talk about this with you if you don't mind. I think it was in 2012, you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Obviously life-changing situation. Talk to us about that. Tell us about what was going through your mind when you found out that you had that, and what's it been like adapting to it since then?
Yeah, so 2012, then 2007, I made my UFC debut, and every California and Nevada, they make you do a brain MRI to fight, to get your fight license, right? And then 2012, it was time to do it again, and they found these lesions. They found something in 2007, but they let me fight, and then 2012. They found more lesions, and they're like, hey, we need to do some more testing. And then they did more testing. And they didn't let me fight one. And then they're like, we need to do more testing. And then they ended up diagnosing me with multiple sclerosis. And, you kind of don't know what to expect. And, it was definitely like a shock. I'm like, what does that even mean? And then you start to do research, and you start to see like, people in wheelchairs and losing the ability of all kinds of things. And I remember them treating me like my life was over a bit, and it was definitely, surreal. And they gave me basically a stack of drug catalogs and asked me which ones I wanted to take. And I was like, okay. And that was pretty much like the solution, really, like, I didn't know what to expect, so I started to do some research and, like the drugs, like the catalogs, it says it may or may not help, right? But there's definitely going to be side effects, right? And so I started to kind of just try to look for solutions, right? And one of them was this lady named Dr. Walls. She has the Walls protocol. It's kind of like paleo style of eating. And the good thing with these things that you do for like to treat or to be okay with the MS is like anybody can do it and feel better and do better. I think it's definitely like a lifestyle change. Like we don't move enough, we don't eat processed foods, right? So eating natural whole foods, definitely like a paleo style diet. And so I just started to shift my lifestyle instead of being, if things stressed me out, I didn't get so stressed. Even though I did a world tour of Jiu-Jitsu after that. But it was home for me, like competing, because that's something I've done my whole life. But Yeah, it was surreal, but I asked the doctor at the time, can I still do jujitsu? I compete in jiu-jitsu, and he's like, yes. And so I was okay with that, because I could still have an outlet. I could still do what I love to do. I couldn't fight MMA, but I could still do jiu-jitsu and compete in jiu-jitsu. And so that's what I did. I signed up for a tournament like next month, went on a world tour, and fast forward maybe a few 2-3 years later, like I went all over the world. They really like went to the Amazon, Manaus. I went to Abu Dhabi. I went all over Europe, Asia. And I don't know what I was searching for, but that's what I knew. And I was like, if I'm going to not be able to do this in 6 months, I'm going to go out on my shield. And so that's what I did. And my last stop was actually in Spain, that Nogi Worlds. A couple weeks later, I went to Europe. One of my friends lived in the south of Spain, Marbella, and he invited me to go. He's doing a seminar. So I ended up going out there, but there was a couple tournaments. So I was like, I hit them up, one in like Northern Europe and then in Spain, Madrid at the end. And I was with him, and I started to feel sick and not feel good. And I got food poisoning. I didn't realize it at the time, but I just, okay, maybe I'm just too many weeks of being stressed out week after week and doing all these tournaments. And so I did my first match at the tournament in Madrid Open. It was like an IBJF, like a Madrid Open. And for my first opponent, like I did my sweep, and then I don't know what happened, but he dropped his weight on my stomach. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to throw up. I survived. I got through to the end of the match, without throwing up. And as soon as I got off the mat, I threw up. And then I realized, okay, that's why I was feeling like nauseous and not good, because I had food poisoning. And just feeling terrible. It feels like you have the flu, right? And he asked me, what, are you going to do the open weight? I'm like, oh man, like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to go home and, go to the hotel. Right. And I was like, well, I can go home, or I can feel sorry for myself there or here. Might as well just see if I feel better in a few hours. And so I stayed. I decided to stay, sign up for the open weight, because I qualified, because it was like the couple guys, it was like a master division. Right. And I started to say to myself, because I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat, I felt like crap, felt weak, right? And I started to say to myself, I believe in my technique, and I started to make me feel good. So I kept saying it like a little mantra, and that was my fuel, And I went out on my first match, second match, third match, and then even later in the day, I did no gi and still no food or water, right? But I had my thoughts as fuel, and after that day, I was like, wow, like the power of the mind, right? And after that, I was like, man, I can win. I can beat this like whole MS thing. I can win. I just need to know how that would happen. But I believe that I could win. So the whole mind over matter, being a martial artist, right? I think it's definitely helped me kind of have that winning mindset, right? Not accepting defeat and finding a way, finding a solution. And out of all the things, right, competing kind of helped me believe, right, that I can win.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that was actually going to be my follow-up question, is like, what lessons from the mat do you think have been most applicable to fighting MS? But you answered it perfectly. It sounds like jiu-jitsu in general teaches you so many great skills in problem solving and overcoming hardships and things like that. Competition takes that to another level. So I imagine years of competing.
I wanted to just kind of, because you introduced me, right, and the bronze medalist at black belt. I actually closed the bracket at black belt. When I got got the bronze, right, I got that unofficially on the scoreboard, but with Marcio Feitosa, and I actually beat Danny Moraes, who ended up winning like the next 2 years, the follow-up years. So I don't know. Back in those days, like guys, they closed the brackets, right? And I don't know, it is what it is. It's like I got that placing, but I just want to, for the record, I guess I did my part. I represented the team, and I don't know why I'm telling you that, but just want to make sure. I guess
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you this. What do you think, in what ways does MS present itself the most in your day-to-day life? Like you said, when you look at the spectrum of what can happen with MS, you see people in wheelchairs, you see people that, may need assistance walking, on their feet. How does it present itself in your day-to-day life, if you don't mind me asking?
It's different, right? It's different. Sometimes I had difficulty like speaking, formulating my words, articulating my words.
Okay.
Some walking things too. Um, I just, yeah, like I never went blind, but there's like some weird stuff that happens. Um, but like again, it goes back to like the martial art, like mindset, right? Finding a solution, finding a way. Like I don't really accept it ever that I'm, even if I'm not good, even if I have difficulty walking, like I'm good. I'll just figure it out. Like, holding my breath, connecting my breath with my steps, little things to get around, right? To navigate. Because if you panic, right? If you're the guys on top of you in side control and holding you down and you panic, that's it, right? You're gonna give up, right? You're gonna tap out. So you stay calm, find a solution. And so I guess that's the mindset I have with it. But those are the things that happen, like, walking, talking, articulating. I think like back in the day, because I do TAC-FIT, it's helped me a lot. I remember like I had a lot of pain. I had a lot of just kind of disconnection. I'd have a lot of fatigue. I'd want to be in bed. And so those are the things I used to have, but I'm doing great because of like the TAC-FIT, the training. It's applied neuroscience. So I connected my breath with the movement, understanding the structure in the body kind of helps you get reconnected, lays down the myelin, the gets your body really, really connected internally.
That's outstanding. I'm really happy to hear that. So it sounds like there hasn't had to be any real like altering of your jujitsu in order to continue training and teaching. It sounds like you've been able to. It sounds like you haven't lost very much, which is great.
I mean, I've been able to manage, and I guess one of the things is it's been a blessing in disguise, because I used to get maybe more stressed about things, and now I can't be stressed, because stress really like messes me up, right? It really messes me up, and so I just let it go. Whatever it is, I just let it go, and it's allowed me to, I think, live a better life. And of course, I still do a lot of things. I'm very busy, but everything I do, I love a lot, and it's not really work, even though like for jiu-jitsu, like I can do all this. I can, I can talk to you about jiu-jitsu. I can talk about, I love what I do. And because of that, I'm able to do it. And if something stresses me out, I just, it's all good. I just cut it out. I don't, you know, hold it in, right? I just move on.
That's great.
Like we had a little thing with not that it was stressful for more stressful for you, like our audio issue at the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah. Honestly, Alberto needs some kind of award for his patience. We were trying to get our audio synced up on this platform we're using here, and it was a nightmare. And I appreciate your patience, but yeah, exactly. Staying calm under pressure. It's something that we both, we got two black belt podcasters here, and both of us are struggling our ass off to get this thing to work.
We're pumping each other up there, right? We're like, we both weren't giving up.
Alberto, man, what would you say, like outside of jiu-jitsu lessons, what do you think is the biggest life lesson you have gotten from your diagnosis with MS that's kind of applied to the rest of your life? Would you say? Like,
that's a good question. I guess one quote would be like, less is more, less is more. Always chasing something, and it's not so much like, because I remember in my book, right, there's like my wife, there's always chasing something, trying to win this, trying to win that. And I was like, oh, are you going to be happy then when you win this, when you do that, right? And so, one of the things that I realized, right, is happiness is a choice. And so I can be happy, I can be content, I can be chasing things, right? But it's a choice. And so I think through all this stuff is just choices, making positive choices. There's you heard that the word amen, right? And it means like, let it be, right? Just letting things be. Our podcast audio thing, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, it's all good, right? But just staying positive, choosing to stay positive. There's a Albert Einstein quote that I really like a lot. And the universe, like the biggest choice that you're going to make in life is whether the universe is with you or against you. And I definitely choose that it's with me, that it's with us, with humanity. And so I definitely think the positive way, no matter what happens. And I think that's a big lesson to take.
Alberto, you've referenced your book a couple times. Very exciting. It's actually dropping today. It's called All In. What inspired you? Obviously, you have a tremendous life story, but what made you want to finally sit down and put it into a book form?
My one of my black belts, his mother did a blog on me, and a couple of years went past after that. She's like, "Man, I can't stop thinking about writing a book on your story." She was really inspired by it, and I was like, "Okay, cool." I guess it's not about me, right? Like, oh, how great I am. Like my wife already says, like, I'm already too full of myself, right? So it's not about how great I am, right? But it's about if there's some lessons to be learned from it. Like, man, okay, let's go, let's do it. And I think definitely there's some there's some lessons that are good that are you can take away and use it. I think I've done a lot of stuff, gone around the world at jiu-jitsu and other things, and made done some good things and definitely made some mistakes. And so there's a lot of ups and downs, and I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned. I think we have one of the biggest schools here now in SoCal, and we've been able to help a lot of people over the years, like it's over 10,000 people, with directly, that over the years. It's been 25 years of our gym legacy, from the New Mexico days. So I'm very proud of that. If that's one thing, like, okay, winning medals, this and that, of course, like, it's part of it, but like, I guess the legacy, right? The name of my gym is just the work, the way we've been able to help and impact people's lives, from our little kids programs to like our older students.
Alberto, where can people get the book if they want to purchase it today?
Pretty much all of the book outlets, right? Online,
Amazon, all that,
Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, bookstores. So yeah, be out there.
Outstanding. Well, you sent me a preview of it, and I really do appreciate it. It looks to be obviously your life story. I'm already aware of your life story to a certain extent, but I can't wait to actually sit and read the book, because what I know about your life already is very impressive. So I'm really looking forward to it. So guys, if you're out there, go head over to Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever books are sold, and support Alberto. This is really cool. It's going to be a really cool life story of someone that's really dedicated their life to jiu-jitsu.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Alberto, there's something new I do on the show that we weren't doing the last time you were on. This is actually a game I play with every guest. It's a game called the Pummel. The Pummels are a series of random questions. Some of these are about jiu-jitsu. Some of them have nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. But if you're down to play the Pummel, I'd love to play this with you.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, man. By the way, guys, this week the Pummel game is brought to you by BJJFanaticsGear.com, the best resource for BJJ gear online. The internet's full of cheaply made rash guards and tacky designs. BJJFanaticsGear.com offers the best materials available and refined designs for everybody. They've also got gis and shorts and shirts and anything else you may need, so check them out at BJJFanaticsGear.com. All right, man. Question 1. What's the largest animal you think you could beat in hand-to-hand combat?
Whew, that's tough, right?
just you and your jiu-jitsu. Just you and jiu-jitsu. No weapons. Just, yeah.
Largest animal, right? I'm definitely not doing a bear. I'm not doing no Khabib baby bear as well. It's a baby bear, maybe, right? I guess I just can't help, because a dog, or you can outsmart a dog, right? But if like, I'm not doing a cat, like any kind of a big cat. I'm definitely not doing like these predator animals, right? So just on size, maybe like a dog, right? Because you can kind of outsmart it a little bit, right?
Yeah, dog. I think dog is realistic. Dogs are susceptible to guillotines and rear naked chokes. So right, I think that's I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. What do you, if you found a genie lamp, and the normal genie rules apply, so no killing people, no wishing for more wishes, what 3 wishes would you choose?
So 3 wishes. What would they say? Could you repeat that again?
Yeah, sorry. The normal genie rules apply, so right. You can't kill people and you can't wish for more wishes, but anything else is fair game. What 3 things would you ask for?
Throw me off, man. That's good. I guess I love what I do, right? I love what I do. I guess I would just amplify that. And what would that mean? I guess I guess I would provide maybe schools or opportunities for people to do jiu-jitsu. My daughter wrestles a lot, and I see a lot of wrestling schools and people, coaches, amazing coaches, like, struggling. So I guess I would definitely fund wrestling programs too.
That's great. That's excellent.
and just I guess combat things. I really believe in it, for people to live their best life. And so I guess I would just keep doing what I'm doing, but I would just amplify it by being able to help more people, like underprivileged kids. I would definitely set up nonprofits and fund those things, right, for kids to be able to train. I guess like Craig Jones is kind of doing that, right, with some of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things like the Guardian stuff. So I guess I would do that. I would definitely do that and support wrestling and support people training jiu-jitsu and other combat things.
That's excellent. I love that, man. Excellent. Have you ever had a supernatural experience? Like, have you ever seen a ghost or an alien or a UFO or anything like that?
No, I guess I've had some interesting dreams, right? That have come true later on. Just random things. I had a vision and they end up coming true later on. Uh, yeah. Uh, I think with jujitsu and even with like the tactic things that I ended up doing with the club bells, and so I ended up seeing these things before.
How about the worst job you've ever had in your life?
Oh man, right out of high school, I did jujitsu. It's pretty much what I've done. So I worked in that fine dining restaurant, and before that, I worked in this like kind of a cafeteria place. And so I mean, out of those two, I guess the cafeteria one was the worst one. I was basically bussing tables, cleaning up tables most of the day. But bro, I guess I'm just a happy guy because it's like it wasn't bad, like it was cool, it was fun, except for the paycheck. The paycheck wasn't cool, so
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I quit.
Paycheck is, yeah, a little disappointing. Yeah, yeah. I
But I
used to
guess
bust. Yeah.
I have fun whatever I do, so it's like it was still cool. If I would have gotten paid better, I would have been fine. It would have been fine. I would have figured it out.
No, I hear you, man. I once upon a time I bust tables too, so I remember those disappointing checks as well, for sure. What do you think is a secret talent that you have that people might not be aware of?
That they're not aware of, or just I mean, well, yeah, and I'm not aware of. When I was younger, I was really into art. Like growing up, I loved to like to paint, to do like even like kind of do things with my hands, sculpt a little bit, but like just artistic things. And I really enjoy it. And I haven't had the time, but I'm definitely going to do some courses and do some practicing of, just learning like visual things, visual like art things. I really enjoy it. I really love it. I love creating. I love doing those kinds of things. So I think like a visual kind of art field, I see myself studying and getting better at it, especially, but we used to do stuff with my hands, right? Like whether with watercolors or acrylic paints and things like that. So I think I could see myself doing it like on the computer and stuff with the technology things.
That's great. That's super cool. Yeah, there's all kinds of really neat and robust programs for graphic design, like with tablets and iPads and stuff these days. That
It's cool because there's
um,
levels, right? You don't need to do a lot. You can do the things that the AI things, right? But you'd still need like a human, like a visual, yeah, direction, right? Like a director
yes,
of it. And
absolutely,
so it's exciting. I love
it
these kind
is.
of things.
Yeah, I think that's something the human soul needs too. Like having jujitsu is obviously great. That's like I think jujitsu for me is the best physical outlet that I've found anywhere. And there's an artistic element to it as well, because you create your own game, you create your own system. And it's a problem solving. It's a game. It's a sport. It's an activity. It's an exercise. It's a game. But there is something cool about having also like artistic expression outside of that too. Like you
For
like
sure.
paint. You mentioned painting, and I picked up guitar recently. I'm really into
There you go.
trying to learn guitar. I think having multiple things you're pursuing like that, one of them being physical and the other being more artistic, is a really important thing just for your soul.
It's you say that, right? Because like our neocortex, right? Our conscious thoughts, right? It's fed from the bottom up, right? And a lot of like these skill building things it has to go through, like for example, like our smell, right? There's like a place called the olfactory bulb where the smell is in the brain, right? But to get through that, it's got to come up from the spine. And so I did a lot of like neuroscience courses and stuff. And so I had some issues smelling. I don't know what happened, if I had a bad sinus infection or I broke my nose. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't smell. So they did like a little test with the like a little lemon thing, and I couldn't smell. And so I was like, okay, let's see. And so they had me do some tests that didn't work, and then they had me read. So I would read, I would smell, and then I would read, and then read it out loud, and then so the olfactory bulb is like in the middle of the brain, and to get to the neocortex, which is like in the front, right up here, has to go through that. It has to get fed from the bottom up. Does that make sense? From the bottom, from like the bottom of the skull, of the brain, right? It has to go up to get to the neocortex. So I turned on that part of the brain, and it went through the smelling part, right? And because it did that, once they got it, it was on. And it's funny. Yeah. And so it's funny because they did a test, right? Also like mobility, right? Your body kind of gets tight too. So when I couldn't smell, like I tried to bend over and touch my toes, and my lower back even hurt when I couldn't do it, because your smell is important for survival, right? And then once I could I could touch my toes. It's funny how your brain works and how we work, right? We don't even know how it works. But yeah, and so I used that also during COVID, right? When people they lost their smell. Yeah, and it worked. And once I got it, I got it back. It's crazy how like the brain works.
It really is. Like you said, there's so much that even now in 2026 we don't understand about the human brain. You know, and when I say we, I mean like people at like the highest levels of science.
And like this whole neuro thing, right? I became friends with this German sport scientist. He works with a lot of like soccer players, like professional soccer players in Europe, and German Olympic like athletes in different sports. And yeah, man, he's like that's why they get these neuro coaches, because it's like it's instant, right? He even went to the World Cup in Brazil, right, back in the day. What year was it when they won? Germany, when they put that big old blowout.
Oh yeah, when Germany beat, that was like 2012?
Something like that. Yeah. So he went down there, when they won the World Cup, and he was their neuro coach. And so all these neuro things are like the instant, you know, and once you get it, you get it. Whereas, you know, like a lot of like other things, it's a lot longer, you know, maybe it doesn't even stick, but once it sticks once, right, you got it, you know. So, but it's understanding the brain and how it works. That's why it's kind of cool, that smell thing, right? And we went through the bottom to get to and we used, you know, understanding the brain, how to do those things. Anyway, it's been that passion around these last 10 years, and there's the TACFIT stuff. The TACFIT is like applied neuroscience. So it's like, that's why, because I had to figure out why like things started to come back online for me when I you know, I had some issues, right? I was telling you, like walking and some other stuff too. And things started to come back online for me and started to work better in my body. And I was like, why did that happen? And so I became like obsessed with like applied neuroscience and the body, how it works. And I did all these courses, and yeah.
That's fascinating. That's so cool. And it's funny because that's another thing. Like we talk about how, you know, overcoming hardships, or like dealing with injuries and things like that. It forces you to explore other avenues in your game. And if it wasn't for the MS diagnosis, that might've been something you might've never gotten interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For example, like, you know, I think people would say, "Oh, my shoulder hurts. Like the doctor said I have to get shoulder surgery." And I'm like, you know, so I used to just be like, "Oh, sorry to hear that," you know. And now, because of the things that I've been studying and learning through TACFIT and all the courses that I've been doing, it's like, oh, let me see. And like, I had them stretch out their lat, or they're like, do like a stretch. Let me see. Oh, it looks like your lat's really tight. You know, from all the gripping over the years, right? Your body adapts to what you do, right? And then some things get tighter and stronger, and then you lose mobility in other places, and then you start to get pain. Your brain is telling you, giving you signals like, hey, you got to change it up, right? And so I'm like, let me see. And then I'm like, because of the understanding I have, like, stretch out your lats every day this week, do this stretch, you know? And then like, oh, my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore, you know? And that's just one thing, but he's like, you never got shoulder surgery, right? And so how powerful is that? Because I can help people, my students, stay on the mat. And not just that, but it's helped me understand and become a better teacher, because I understand body mechanics better. What is, you know, why do you have your elbows? And when you're on bottom, you're always trying to open up the guy's elbows, right? Because he's weak. Why? Because when your elbows are in, right, you're connected to your lats and you're connected to your whole body, like your power kind of position, right? Same thing in boxing, same thing in Muay Thai, right? And yeah, so it's allowed me to understand jiu-jitsu at a deeper level, I guess, you know. It's been really cool, you know.
That is cool. Do you have a favorite book that you've read on this topic? So I'd like to explore a little bit about it myself.
How the Brain Changes Itself, the Talent Code, is
Oh,
also a good one.
that's one of my favorite books. Yeah, I love the Talent Code. When you mentioned myelin earlier, I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
right. Because when you have MS, right, your immune system attacks the myelin sheath, right, and so it's cool because that book is basically on myelinization. Though then I think there's a one on like body maps, like how your hands have so much square footage in your brain, right? Because they're important for survival, right? And so different parts of your body, like your leg, has the same amount of square footage in your brain as like one of your fingers, right? Isn't that crazy? And so like different parts of your body are more important according to your brain, right, for survival. And then the other one is like on neuroplasticity, like learning, right? I think that's the one that how the brain changed itself. Another one, I forgot the I forgot the name. What it's called, the brain map, right? Where you had that part of the brain. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. But those three books are great. The Talent Code is a good one, right? And then the neuroplasticity book, I think how the brain changes itself. Uh, and then the second one is that just the importance of different parts of your body, right? And if one thing like your smell is off, for example, right? My lower back is hurting, right? Just how everything's interconnected with each other. And like, we have these cranial nerves, right? In our skull, right? And one small thing, it's a system-wide effect, right? Of your body's response.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate these recommendations. I'm gonna look some of these up today for sure. And then when you remember the name of the other ones, please text me.
I will. I'll send it to you.
I'd like to know it for sure. Yeah. Next question on the Pummel Game. What's your favorite bad food to eat? Favorite junk food?
Woo. Oh man. Man, I'm loving burgers. It's not that it's bad, it depends on the I'm so what do you call it? Kind of dialed in that I guess it's just like I even try to eat good, like healthy burgers because it just, you feel better, right? You feel better. Um, I guess pizza or burgers. I like ice cream. I like ice cream. Yeah, I like ice cream. The good quality ice cream, right? It tastes better too, right? It tastes better. So,
Describe your perfect burger, because I'm like a burger aficionado. I'm like kind of a burger snob. I love burgers. So do you prefer smash or do you prefer like a thicker or like artesian burger?
uh, I like a good meat, a good meat,
It's good thick. Yeah.
a good thick, yeah, a good thick.
Okay, good.
I like to be hungry and have a really solid burger, right? I don't like bacon. I don't like bacon, but I like a nice solid burger and just pretty simple. But if the like In and Out is good, right? It can be good, it has like a good sauces and stuff, but overall like kind of basic. I like a basic burger and just the meat, have the meat be the prize of the meal.
That's great. Dude, if you find yourself in Sao Paulo again, let me know. I will
I
show
will.
you dude, I'll show you the best burger I've ever
All
had in
right.
my life.
Deal.
Yeah,
Deal.
it's
Deal.
right here in my neighborhood. I've never had a better burger anywhere else. Dude, this burger's unbelievably good. It's a little tiny
Okay.
hole in the wall place and they are killing it. So let me know if you're
Good.
here.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your most hated food? What's something you cannot eat no matter what?
Oh man, what don't I like? Mm, I don't like liver.
Oh yeah, liver. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a specialty, like an
I
acquired
I
taste
don't
for
like the
sure. Yeah.
smell. I don't like
Yeah.
the taste. My wife is always trying to cook it, and my kids eat it, but I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's good for you, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, you got to put some crazy amount of seasoning on it for me to even be able to sit in the same room with it. I hear you. What do you think is your biggest phobia?
Phobia. Um, I don't know, man. Like, I try to run towards the bullets, if I'm scared or something. So, um, it's hard to say because if I like, I'm scared of this, I do it, and then I'm not scared of it anymore. I
Yeah,
think the kind of the martial art mindset, right?
that's great.
Um,
So no chronic phobia then. Nothing that really is like a recurring thing that freaks. Like you're not afraid of like snakes or spiders or heights or.
there was what's it, The Selection? It's like on the Amazon. It was like a TV show,
Okay.
and it was like kind of like a Navy SEAL, kind of going through different things, like in the water, drown proofing, like these different tests. And there was this one where they put these guys in a box and they drilled them in there. Like, so like I'm not claustrophobic like that, but like, bro, like in there. And then they have like a baby crying. Like it's part of like one of
Oh God.
one of the military like trainings, you know, to kind of, you're so uncomfortable and you can't panic, right? If you panic, that's it. But you're drilled into the thing, right? You can't, it's not like you can get out, but you're like, imagine the panic and then you're uncomfortable because you're hearing a baby cry and all these things. So, man, I guess that would be tough, right? To be, I maybe uncomfortable just seeing it, right? Because the guys come out of there, they're crying and they're like traumatized, right?
Dude, it's funny. One of the things I just in one of the most recent episodes, we were talking about people that cave dive and they like go into those like
Oh yeah,
sections
yeah,
of caves where it's like literally like you're like walking, you're like scooting like a worm through a, dude, I can't even look at it. It makes me
That's
so
on my
like,
algorithm
nervous.
too right now. Like,
Yeah, dude.
I clicked on one of those videos and they just keep popping up. Guys getting trapped.
That's how they get you, man. You click it one time and now it's just like, oh, you like that? Here's some more. It's like, no, I don't like it. I didn't mean to. Yeah, resetting the algorithm is tough once you indulge it, you know. Alberto, final question for the Pummel game. If a zombie apocalypse breaks out right now in Southern California, what's the first thing you do?
You know, I already prepared for that because I watched Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was I got a gun. You know?
Nice.
And so that way if it goes down, at least I can go somewhere else and maybe if I need more guns or whatever, you know. So definitely got a gun, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
so load up and are you hunkering down? Are you grabbing your gun and hunkering down, or are you getting out and away from populations?
You know, man, during the pandemic time, right, it was kind of like a sketchy time because we don't know what was gonna happen. There was like riots and all these different things, and I feel pretty confident in my jiu-jitsu community. And when it was going down, because people were like, they don't know what to do, right? And so we kind of like kept connected, and so I feel pretty good keeping our community. Like the jiu-jitsu gym will be like the place, right? We meet up, you know. So maybe the gym would be the place. The setup here too is pretty good. It's like a little castle a little bit. We have like upstairs and like a surrounding thing. So I think it would be a good spot to hunker down, you know?
The COVID thing was kind of an interesting preview into how quickly society can go from civilized to like not. What was
his name with the bat and the Walking Dead?
Yeah, I didn't watch that far into the seasons, but I think his name it starts with an N, Nylan. God, I don't remember his name, but the bat with the nails in it.
Yeah. So watching that show, guys that are able to have a team or like a little like
squad.
Big group, a squad, like a big group, right? They're the ones who survive, right? So I think that'd be my play. You know, I wouldn't hunker down by myself. And no. We're gonna get like 100 people together. We're gonna be in control. You know.
That's a smart thing to do. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Which makes you worry because if things get real one day, do like gangs, like street gangs, that they'll be like,
we're building a gang. We're building a massive gang, and we're gonna be tough guys. We're not just gonna be like
exactly
little, like passive dudes. Nah, hell no. We're gonna train up, bro.
Yeah, if your squad's not tough and trained, now you're just a group of people that are going to get your vegetables taken from you by street gangs or tougher people. Yeah,
the vegetables.
Yeah, that's how it is. But Alberto, that was the final question for the Pummel game. Congratulations, you win. You got your double underhooks.
Thank you.
And once again, guys, the Pummel game was brought to you by BJJFanaticsGear.com. Head over to the website to check out the very best gear on the market. Alberto, talk to me about the crucifix position. I know the crucifix position is something that's been a staple in your game for a long time. When did that first appear in your game, and why do you think it's been such an important facet of your jiu-jitsu?
I remember learning it in Brazil, and I felt really felt very natural, and so I started doing it, and I started having success with it in grappling tournaments, gi and no gi tournaments. And then I started doing it in MMA as well. I think I did 4, even though it doesn't say it on the result of the record that it says like choke, whatever, but it was a crucifix, you know. My first MMA fight, I did a crucifix, you know. And I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. You start to see it everywhere. Like you see like Barry Rashida, like, he's posting all these different things like that assassin choke. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. Um, so I think one, I'm just having success with it early on. I was one of the beginning guys to kind of do it. I remember like Marcelo Garcia started to do it later on as well. Um, um, for a while. And so it's just fun. It was different, and not something that everybody did, right? So it was like surprising for a lot of people. Um, and now it's just fun. It's like you can see it. You can see it everywhere. You can find it everywhere. And you threaten the armbar and the choke at the same time. And then, of course, besides that, you have so many other submissions from there. Like you see, like a Mendes brother do it in the I think was it the finals or some of the finals of the Worlds, right? Like doing a wrist lock from there, right? So like, there's so many options that you can do.
Yeah. I also love seeing how some people adapt like the Kimura trap system into it as well. Like
right.
Yeah, it's all there for the taking. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I remember you talk about the fun nature of the position. I remember one of the highlights, one of my most satisfying moments in jiu-jitsu on the mats was as a blue belt. I hit from side turtle, the crucifix entry where you wrap your inside leg around the inside bicep that's closest to you. And then you hook the other side and just do a front roll, and you end up basically rolling with, dude. When I finally made that work one day, I was just like, oh my God, bro, I'll never forget that. It is like a very satisfying place to land. Cause it's like, dude, this is all attack for me and all defense for you, buddy. So it's a fun place to be. What do you think are some of the biggest like technical mistakes that you see students make as they're learning to set up and use the crucifix? What are some common errors you see people make?
I think they like, because from the turtle position, for example, that's the way I'd like to teach it. It's like the really high percentage one. And I think on that position, they don't understand the control of the arm bar. The arm bar is the control. Like if you lose the control of that arm bar, like you kind of loose on it, I think another thing is having a tight seatbelt, on the way I do it. Cause you can do the rolls and things like that, but like it's kind of a little bit loose. And if the guy's like kind of noodle arms, whatever, you just slip out of it, But I like that it's like a seatbelt from that crucifix, and I like to use the armbar to roll the guy. And then I think just knowing what to do in each not problem, but every scenario. If the guy's arm comes out, not losing position. If the guy gets out of the armbar, transitioning to the back, like just having an answer for every piece. I guess you asked me for the beginning guy, right? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's for anyone that's trying to learn and develop.
So I think the beginning guy is just understanding how to do the armbar. So understanding the control of the armbar with your legs. That's the hardest part for a beginner guy. So once you understand how to manipulate the arm with your legs, then then you start to understand it. And then later on, as you get into it, like just understanding all the scenarios that can happen in every position when you try to do it. Because I fought MMA, right, for like a decade, whatever, and so you don't want to lose position in the MMA fight, and so it's cool because it was a fancy position, but like you don't want to lose position ever, and so I really, really hammered home all the scenarios.
That's great. What would you say is your highest percentage entry for crucifix? Like where do you find yourself getting there the most? Is there a particular position that you feel?
Yeah, I think the turtle, the turtle, yeah. The turtle. Guys, I did it. Orlando Sanchez was my student. He did it in Abu Dhabi ACC like years ago. And like guys shooting for like a high crotch, like a high C, and that's a perfect setup for a crucifix. You just kick your leg back and then boom, like a verbal submission, or the guy turns it and then you do that roll, from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of, like you said, a lot of creative, fun ways to find. And I think once you learn a couple entries, you start seeing 100 others. It's just like, oh man, there's entries from all over the place. You do a great job actually of laying out all this in your instructional. In fact, if you guys are listening and you want to get better at the crucifix position, check this one out. It's one of our best sellers. It's called Crucifix Crane Style. It's available right now at bjjfanatics.com. So if the crucifix is something you're wanting to improve, head over and get that knowledge, because Alberto did a great job laying it all out for sure. So,
thanks, man. Yeah.
Alberto, in closing, man, what are some of your major goals for 2026? What are some things you hope to accomplish this year?
Well, we have this book, we have this book, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of promote it. But I think, bro, I'm a dad, and I want to be the best that I can be to my kids, my family, my husband, and then the students, my jiu-jitsu family. I want to support them as much as I can, and so not like bigger, right? But I want to just quality. I want to keep trying to improve myself so I can be better for all of them, all the people around me in my life.
Alberto, man, it is really a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm sorry there were so many years in between the first visit and this one. Let's make the next one not so long. Always a pleasure to chop it up with you, man. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Of course. Absolutely. Guys, for anyone out there that wants to keep up with Alberto, it's easy to do so. He's on Facebook, Alberto Crane. His Instagram is Alberto Crane. His YouTube channel is Alberto Crane Show. Like I said, guys, he has a great podcast, so go check it out. His website is albertocrane.com. If you guys are ever traveling through Southern California, he's got 4 locations of his academy, Legacy BJJ, one of the top schools really anywhere in the world. So drop in and train if you can. If you can't make it to Southern California, you can learn from him anywhere in the world here at bjjfanatics.com. We talked about his crucifix instructional today. He also mentioned his cross guard instructional. He's got a few of them on there. So type in Alberto Crane on bjjfanatics.com and you won't be disappointed if you pick one out. Also, guys, he's got his book dropping today. It's called All In. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and anywhere else books are sold. So get on that, support Alberto, and check out his really cool life story. You won't be disappointed. And that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please stay tuned for the next episode of the BJJ Fanatics podcast.